Today, we are actually going to start with the big question. How do you know if your idea is a hobby or real business? The answer is the 4-score test. This is an interesting framework that looks at your passion, your skills, the demand for that business idea, and its profitability. And by the end of the episode, you are going to know exactly how to score your top 5 ideas and walk away with your top 3 contenders, right? Because after you've scored those ideas, you would have a better understanding of which one of these ideas rises to the top. So let's dive right in. Welcome to From Corporate to CEO, hosted by the Power Move Collective. I'm your host, Nandi B, and this is your daily podcast that proves that you don't have to resign in order to rise. Here, ambitious women like yourself learn how to leverage your paycheck, your skills, and your corporate career to launch and grow your own business. And in just 10 minutes every day, I'll share power moves that will turn your 9-to-5 into your greatest investor. Make sure, however, that you hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. With that said, let's get on with today's episode. Welcome to week 2 of our CEO journey inside of the Power Move Collective. Last week was all about awakening your CEO mindset. This week, we are shifting gear into strategy because ideas are easy, but clarity, that is what makes you a CEO. And over the next few days, we are going to walk through how you can actually take the skills you already have and score your ideas with confidence. Learn to filter those ideas right into the ones that are really worth your time and your energy. Most ambitious women in corporate America will often generate dozens of ideas, right? That is the cornerstone of entrepreneurship. You need ideas and you need lots of them. Whether it's a coaching product, an app service, a skincare product, right? The problem, however, isn't the lack of creativity in the generation of the idea. It's the lack of clarity. As a CEO, your job is to have that clarity on which of these business ideas is actually going to truly be profitable. In corporations, right, we all in our 9-to-5s, leaders are not launching products without some sort of forecast, some sort of market analysis, some sort of profitability check. But when it comes to our businesses, often we default to emotions, right? I love this idea, so it must work. This week, however, we are anchoring ourselves in our skills and strategy pillar, and we are going to specifically learn how you can score this idea the way a strategist does. So before we quickly move into our to-do list, let's talk about some reframes that I want you to have, right? Because mindset, as you know, is so important, and we like to anchor ourselves in the right mindset. Here are some misconceptions that we tend to have when it comes to our own businesses. Passion is all that I need in order for my business to succeed. However, the reality is that your passion is your spark, but your strategy is your fuel. Your paycheck can fund your dreams, but only if you treat your ideas in the same rigor that you give to your corporate projects. Now let's dive deeper into this 4-score framework. The first one is passion. You need passion in order for your idea to be viable, in my opinion, right? Passion is critical for those of us who are building side businesses that we want to step into full time. So think back into a project where the leader clearly wasn't invested in that project, right? Maybe it was a change initiative, a new reporting system, or inside of your company a company culture campaign. The strategy looks fine on paper, but because whoever is sponsoring it didn't actually care about the project died very quickly. So passion, or the lack of it, shows up in the energy and the advocacy, and most importantly, the follow through. So this is in the corporate setting. Now let's see what that looks like in the business setting. So this is where you ask yourself, would I keep going if no one paid me for this project? And for how long? Passion is truly the only thing that carries you through those quiet metal, right? That is when passion is gone, when no one knows your name, and when results are invisible, but you are still in that iteration phase. Don't confuse interest with passion. You see, interest will fade when things get hard, but passion will continue to fuel your persistence. So circle back to your 1 to 2 ideas that will light you up even when you are tired on a Friday night. After your 9 to 5, you still want to work that business on that lonely, exhausted Friday night. So score test number 2 is skills. This is the excellence test, right? Passion was the energy test. Skills is the excellence test. So imagine being asked to lead an IT project at work. So you are leading an IT security rollout project when your background is in HR. Right? So that misalignment is going to quickly create frustration, inefficiency, and often failure. We've all had jobs where our bosses are asking us to do something we've never done before. And usually it tends to be in the framework of your job. It's not as drastic as an IT person leading an HR project. However, the point is still the same. Companies are intentional in aligning your skill set with the scope of the project. And as the CEO, you must be too. So let's take a look at what that would be like in your own business. So this is where we are now looking at your skill set and how they translate into the success of your own business. So list 3 to 5 corporate skill sets that you use on a weekly basis. Is it presenting? Is it analyzing data? Is it mentoring? Is it managing project or negotiating contracts? Because all of these are going to be entrepreneurship gold. If your business ideas tap into your pre-existing excellence, you are starting at a level of credibility and confidence, and you are not starting from scratch. Transferable skills are that secret sauce to running and building your own business. Now let's talk about the third one. The third one is demand. This is the market test. So think about a product in your corporate job, a product that you launched that flopped because the market didn't care. Corporations know that no matter how innovative a product is, if there's no market demand, it's not greenlit. Demand is the gatekeeper. So what will this look like in your own personal business? You need to be running a quick market pulse check. There are so many ways that you can do this, okay? The options are limitless, but some quick options that you can use to quickly vet out your idea or the demand for your idea is look at Google Trends. Are people actually searching for your problem? Right? And this is really interesting because sometimes people may not be searching for it, but you yourself may have a pulse into a network that is searching for that problem. So, you can also use that as a lever of understanding whether or not there's demand, right? LinkedIn and Reddit complaints are big. Reddit especially. Are there people out there or professionals that are voicing frustrations about the same thing? Man, that's really powerful. For a lot of you in corporate America, you would most likely be going from a corporate job into some sort of consulting business. So you could use like various job boards to kind of understand what other companies are hiring for. So if you were looking into consulting as a bookkeeper, for example, or a product development manager, is there a high demand for those roles right now? And who could be some companies that are currently seeking somebody with your skill set? By looking at job boards, you will get an idea of what a demand is, right? Because it's also speaking to some of the pain points those organizations have. But honestly, this is just a few examples, and your options can be limitless. No matter what, do not move forward with a business that doesn't really, where you really haven't identified that there is a demand for that business. So your first test doesn't need to be complex. You can find 10 strangers online that are already complaining about your problem, and you can share how your idea could potentially solve that problem, right? So this is how you validate the demand at the very baseline level. The fourth one, this right here, women are notorious for forgetting this one, okay? The profitability or the math test. So as a corporate employee, nothing is more annoying, especially like I'm a scientist. Sitting in budget meetings was no fun. So you've sat in these meetings where even like the best initiatives, I knew as a scientist, we would bring up amazing ideas, and business people will always be like, cut, because the return on investment wasn't strong enough. It's not that those businesses weren't meaningful. It's not that they weren't important, but because resources must flow to what sustains the growth. When I was younger in my career, this went straight past my head. I did not understand the importance of profitability in the business ideas that I was presenting. Even when in my head, I did the math and I was like, it's profitable, there were holes that I was missing that business people who evaluate things on a regular basis had more context on. So it created frustration, right? I remember always feeling like, man, they don't have the vision. They like the vision, but what they were doing is acting in their CEO mindset while I was acting in my individual contributor mindset. So here is how that would apply in your own business. You need to research at least 2 direct competitors and understand what they are charging for whatever service product you want to deliver. How are they delivering, for example, one-on-one group or digital products? Do their model look sustainable? But here is the thing though. Yes, it's true. You want to research what your competitors are doing to kind of understand what you'll be able to get, but you yourself need to also understand what your own reality is and how that reality would pair with whatever you are going to charge. So you can quickly test your math, right? You can take your income goals. Say you want to make $2,000 a month. Divide that by the potential offer price. Let's say it's $500. So that means that you need 4 clients per month in order to get $2,000 a month. Does that feel doable to you with your schedule and your audience? If it's a yes, you greenlight it. If it's a no, adjust your price or your delivery model, right? So for example, adjusting the price could be instead of charging $500, I'm going to charge $700. But this also means that the value now has to match $700. Or you can adjust your delivery model. So instead of doing $500 per client, maybe instead of 4 clients, you take 10 clients that are each going to pay $300 instead of a one-on-one delivery model. Now you are doing a group delivery model where, okay, instead of, so for example, as a coach, you can do 5 one-on-one sessions for $500 each, or you can do 1 group session of 10 people for $200 each. So now you are minimizing the amount of time, but you are maximizing your profit. It's important that we realize that a business that doesn't pay us is a hobby. Profitability is what makes a business, but most importantly, it is what makes a business sustainable. So here is your action plan. When you look back at your ideas, put all of them through these filters: passion, skills, demand, profitability. Stop chasing the shiny object and start acting and thinking like the CEO. Every corporate leader uses some sort of scorecard. So step 1, write down your top 5 business ideas. Don't overthink it. This can be rough, messy, and even half-baked, okay? Write them on paper or in your Note app or your Notion app, right? The point is to get them out of your head and into a piece of paper. The second step that I want you to take is to start scoring each one of these ideas. Make yourself you can just have it on paper. At the very top, score each one of these ideas. Passion, profitability, demand, put all of that at the very top. How energized do you feel about this idea on a scale of 1 to 5? The one that comes up to the top, that becomes your top idea, 1 to 5. So this one exercise. So step 4, now that you kind of have your top 1 or 2, celebrate with some clarity, right? So this one exercise removes 80% of your mental noise. So instead of chasing 10 what if ideas, you have clear contenders by performing this exercise. And from here, join us in the Power Move Collective, where we'll take you one layer deeper, from validating to offer to launch. This whole week, I am going to actually take you one test score at a time. Today was a high-level overview. For the rest of the week, please do come back because we are going to go through all of these tests one at a time. Thank you so much for joining me today on From Corporate to CEO. If you loved what you heard today, please subscribe to the show and visit us at powermovecollective.com. And if you are ready to start taking action, here are 2 great options. You can download our free Safe Start Blueprint. It's on our website and the link is also in the description below. However, if you, my darling, are ready to take action and say goodbye to corporate America for good, join us in the Business Plan Mastermind that is kicking off on January 12th, 2026.